This is how I turned a bad influencer with bad reputation into a 10K per month online coaching business. I'm Christian Vitolo. I build communities that make 10K per month in the info product space, and I help both brick and mortar and info product businesses double their revenue. So some months ago, me and my team partnered up with Sam Alvey, which is a UFC veteran for the ones that don't know who he is. And he had a very bad following, no educational content, which leads to useless followers. He had nothing that he was selling to his audience, and he had a bad reputation because he had the longest winless streak in UFC history. So basically we were stuck with him, and we were like, okay, now we have this opportunity, like we can not really make anything out of it, can we? And then we were like, okay, but we have already a pool of people that, which a percentage of them might be interested in actually learning some stuff. And so we can actually target them and to sell something. And so we were now going to waste this occasion. Actually, we took it as a challenge to overcome all these three issues. Nothing to sell, no educational content, no reputation. And now I can actually tell you what to do if you have a creator, or if you are a creator with nothing to sell, no educational content, and no reputation. So if we want to chunk up all these three issues, at the end of the day, it was just like we have nothing, no offer, no product. We have no, fuck that, avatar. And we also have no process, or at this point actually in the front end, no content that will actually persuade them to buy our stuff. So we were trying to solve all these three problems, leveraging the following that we already had. And so, because otherwise we'll start from zero, because all these people that follow Sam, follow them for entertainment purposes, not for educational purposes, and what drives sales is education. So basically we were turning him into an educational content creator, and based on the percentage of the following that we already had that was following him because he was interested maybe into, already interested because of other reasons, into learning how to do X stuff in the niche, which was martial arts. So for each one of these problems, we created a solution based on these three simple principles, which are: one, it's doing research, which is collect information, because we wanted to understand what are we going to sell, what type of content should we make, what's appealing to them, and then who are those people that we can actually iterate and have our product be better for. So a first step is to collect information, and based on that information we make decisions. That's how decision making works. And then we do tests. So we run a pilot test to understand if our assumptions, if our hypothesis based on that data is actually true. And then we iterate, but before that, we execute. Okay, so the first step is research. Now, research, it's basically collecting information with primary data, secondary data. Primary data is the one that we are actually seeking, like the stuff that we don't know and we actually getting out there to get it. The secondary data is data that we already have. Since this creator had no previous business, we had no data. So basically we have to actually collect it. And so what we did was, we can actually divide this into two steps, which is proof. Okay, so find proof based on what he's good at. Think about percentages, think about results. And then the other thing is brand. Okay, think about brand. When you think about brand, think about like associations of ideas that you're making through like the outcome of the thing that you're selling. So basically we can divide this into personal brand, and then we can talk about like people. So personal is what do you think you are? People is what does the audience thinks you are. So basically, let's start with personal. We have to collect information based on what Sam thought of himself. So we did a one-on-one interview. This is my beautiful interview. one-on-one interview where we said, what are the things that you can say that nobody else can say in your niche? And then we got an answer. And then the other question was, what are the things that you're doing that nobody else can do, which are unique to you, to your persona? And that's what is the do. So say and do. This is the say do framework. So he said, one thing that I can say is that overtraining is not a thing. I said, oh, wow, that was tough. And then he was like, I never turned down a fight. And I was like, oh, that's tough again. Like, this guy never, that's why he lost so much. Anyways, so personal, it's basically what are the things that you think are associated with your brand. And then people, which is number 2, is what do the people think about you? What are the associations they are making? Because we already had a following, we were just interested in targeting the people that will be interested in actually taking our stuff, buying our stuff. So people, the questions that we did was for the audience through a question box on Instagram stories. And by the way, we have all the results from all the tests, all the question box, all the stories, this is story sequences, everything that we did from the concept generally to the actual results specifically for this creator in the description in a Google Drive file that you can access there. So people, basically people, we asked them through question box, what's your biggest strength? What do you think, what do you think is Sam's biggest strength? And what would you like to be helped with? So the strength thing is actually recognize him as an authority in something, and then the help with is what's the action or the thing that you would like to learn from him based on the authority. So this gave us multiple answers. We got together all the similar answers, and then we made a poll. On this poll, you have answer number 1, answer number 2, and answer number 3. Answer number 3 wins, which in our case was learning how to punch, because apparently it was known to, which actually makes sense, and we'll see that later. Actually, it was learning how to punch because it was known to be strong. And all the points, all the information that we got were pointing out there. So we're pointing to the fact that it was strong and the punches were strong. So number 3 won. And what we do now? So now let's see how this all wraps up. Now we have the complete picture, because proof, we know, based on the data that we found, that he won the majority of his fights, so above 50%, by TKO and KO. So that's what builds authority. And we see if it's consistent with what people think, which is, I want to get help with techniques about how to punch. And then I want to get, I recognize him as an authority in being strong. So because Sam is very, very strong. So I want to be strong like him, and I want to better my technique. So that's what the people were asking. And then the personal thing is, I am tougher, that I am smart. And that was the core thing that we had throughout all the content. Which was actually consistent with winning by TKO and KO with what the people were asking. So there was actually something that we could leverage on. And then overtraining, since I'm tough, this is all consistent. Overtraining is not real. So all the things that we saw before, so our offer, our avatar, and our formats, what is our content about, what is going to be our about, all the 3 things are this cycle of proof, people, and personal beliefs about the brand. And basically we ran this through all the different things, both the market and the marketing. So from the offer to the formats, because we wanted to know what the people were looking for in order to help them. In order to catch them. So we have our information, we collect our information. Now we have hypothesis both for the offer and who are the people that are asking for that stuff. So our avatar. And also for the content style. Now we have all these assumptions. How do we know that we are right? Because we don't want to overinvest in this and then we find out it all sucks. It doesn't work. So what we did was, number 2, run tests. We ran a pilot test, which was basically getting a sample of people from the stories and the posts, then giving them an incentive. And the third thing was, in exchange for that incentive, they will give us their information. So, info for hypothesis. Okay. So basically what we did was we picked 50 people, and at those 50 people we were gonna give all the things that we were planning on building in terms of the offer and the marketing assets beforehand, before anybody else. And in exchange for this, they will also get a one-on-one call with Sam to actually test one of the bonuses, one of the things that we will have in our offer later on. And also test all the headlines, all the marketing assets to this little group of people that were like randomized picked based on some disqualifiers, some stuff that we put in the Google form in order to qualify them based on our sample. Based on the people that actually from the polls told us the thing that was requested the most inside the polls. So we analyze all the data, we pick the sample, we give the incentive, which is the one-on-one call and promise of all the future stuff given beforehand, videos, courses, services, everything that we were going to give inside the community. And then they were going to give us their information and also feedback. Feedback to iterate our product, our marketing, everything. So we were having the most, we were gonna get the most out of the shot that we were given. So basically to optimize and not fuck it up. And so what we did was run the test, run the pilot test, get information, and then we built our assets and our offer. Number 3 is we execute. Once we had the offer figured out, once we had the avatar figured out, so we know where we're targeting, we know what we're selling to them, we built our promise. And our promise was we help men from X age to Y age, which you will find always in the file in the description, get powerful punches. Dream outcome based on our Moses frameworks. And then what we did was, based on this, we analyzed all the things that people were interested in. We broke down powerful punches in multiple actions, and those actions were actually stuff that people could learn. So all the pain points, all the stuff that gets you to get the powerful punches. We broke it down, and then we made content about all those little things, all those little pains, all those little wants. Then we tested on the pilot test to that sample, which will give us the best shot to actually make stuff work. And basically, we helped them get powerful punches. And then what we did was set the strategy, set the tactics to actually get the content out there. So what we did was we wanted to get lots of volume to test lots of stuff quickly because we didn't have much time. We were going to change all the formats and it was a big risk. That's why we did all the stuff, collect information, test, etc. to get the best shot at this. And what we did was high volume, so 4 times per day. We were doing 4 reels per day on Instagram, repurposing them on YouTube and TikTok. And then what we did was keep one format, which was entertainment slash educational. So like edutainment, I think that's what it's called, edutainment, yes. And so one format like this. And then we had 2 formats based on what people told us. Because if you don't know something, ask the people that you're gonna sell to. They're gonna give you the fucking answer. So the other 2 formats were basically technique. Technique in the nuance of the brand stuff that we saw before. That was consistent with what people think SEM was, what the authority said it was, what the proof backed up, and basically we made the content about that stuff. So we spent the next 2 months testing formats. So time, 2 months, testing formats, because at this point it was a challenge. I wanted to turn this bad creator into an actual info product coach. So 2 months of testing, and we got, every 21 days, we got 4K followers of new people, and we lost 4K followers. So the net, it's freaking 0. Was this a bad metric? No. Why? Because you don't know who these followers are. You don't know who are these people. These people were interested in our stuff, in our shit. This is a piece of shit. These people are the shit. These people were interested in the fun. So basically we lost people that were seeking entertainment, and we gained potential clients. So this 0 right here, this net of this net of 0, which is like, okay, you did nothing, was not actually true. We were rechanging followers basically from low value people, which are not interested in buying anything, to high value people. And then the results were shown, because the next month we launched and we had 500 signups the first day for the free community, and then the next month we sold 10K.